So yes, if you saw the title, I know that's a high bar, but Dungeon Crawl Carl is something else. It's a story that deals with the struggles of death and the journey to succeed, along with a lot of dirty and pop culture references, though it makes up for it by being a rather heartfelt at moments, and will let you actually sit on the characters and enjoy them and the struggle they overcome. So, what are you saying? That you're not a crazy, stuck-up asshole princess?
Oh, I am a princess, Carl. But I'll try not to be too much of an asshole. Look, I need you, and you need me, okay? Look, I'm scared here, and I don't want to be alone. And I know you don't want to be alone either.
What do you mean? Oof.
There was that day when the passes were clear. You could have taken me back to Miss Beatrice's parents, but you didn't want to. And you were looking at apartments, making sure they allowed cats. Cats, of all things. You were thinking about catnapping me.
No, maybe. That was exactly what I've been doing, okay?
It wouldn't have worked, by the way. Your dad would have got me back right away.
I know. Look, Donut, let's just get back on the road, okay? So let's keep moving. But I should get into what the story actually is. It's the story of Will Carl, our favorite veteran of the Coast Guard and broken family life enjoyer, who gets woken up by his ex-girlfriend's cat meowing on the tree, absolutely meowing and being a real mess. So when he comes out half naked in his boxers and his shirt and grabs the cat being named Princess Donut, of course, which is a great name, I have to say. But anyway, he looks back and finds out that the world around him is rubble, and that the planet's resources have been claimed by the Borant corporations, which contacted the Earth long ago and basically scammed them, saying that because they left the post office at the edge of the solar system, it's not their fault. Humans never replied. Yeah, that's right, guys. It's totally not their fault. So the Earth and its resources were taken with the remaining humans, aka those that were outside when the collapse took place, to fend for themselves. At least that's what you think for a second before you notice that. They left a strange staircase next to them, inviting the people that still existed, inviting them into a game for resources and citizenship status with the Galactic Space League, or whatever it's called, as Carl would say, with them having to complete the 18-floor world dungeon. And let's just say they aren't exactly trying to keep everyone alive. It was more like a TV show with a mentally ill AI leading the system. And the Borant Corporation, which is running the game, is a bunch of slimy fish people who are 3 foot tall. So can you really test a 3 foot tall fish? But back to the dungeon. It's a wild place where not even what you can see can always be trusted, with traps and monsters and even some sentient mobs. But I will say that it is often Carl's fault, because just look, would you trust a sign that eyes in a dungeon? Like, come on. Like, even the AI makes fun of him, which only serves to distract him as those goblins rush in their crap wagon of doom, leaving Carl to run for his life, bobbing and weaving corners, where he finds the tutorial guide room and he tells them to screw off, but it's not his problem. Since when mobs are nearby, he isn't actually supposed to let them in, leaving him to stomp a goblin with his feet as Princess Donut, the cat, sneaks in, allowing Carl to get in as well, getting temporary safety before going back out and crushing more goblins with his feet, which may or may not be one of the most important things that happened that ended up keeping Carl alive, because let's just say that the AI has a little bit of a weird fetish. But that leaves Carl time to actually talk to his guide, Mordecai, and learn how you can get a deal to leave the dungeon on the 10th floor, and how this really is just a game to the outside universe, a death game that is. But to survive, he has to gain stats and obtain loot, like loot boxes from achievements that the AI gives out, and how the most important thing really is the number of fans you can get, because the number of fans let you bring in the real big profits, equaling more rewards. And from killing the goblins, he actually got a bunch of achievements. He got an even bigger one from being the first person to bring a cat into the dungeon, so he got a whole bunch of stuff from that one. One of them being a legendary pet treat, which turned our cute little cuddly donut. Like, look at her. Don't you want to give that cat a cuddle? Into, well, a ball of slime. But thankfully, she doesn't stay that way, turning into the talking cat that exists to both love and annoy Carl through the rest of the series. Even turning out to be a mage. Because who doesn't love a cat with magic missile laser eyes? And to make it worse, Donut is an absolute woman's TV brand cat. Because someone, cough, Carl never turned off his girlfriend's shows. And she was an absolute pageant cat, being fluffed and brushed for shows, which turned her into a rather interesting combination. Let's just say there's a lot of Carl dissing from Donut that is mostly deserved, let's be honest. But that's not to say that Donut doesn't also have her moments. Because in the first couple of chapters, she does something that deeply affects things later on in the series by immediately putting on the sepsis whore crown that marks her as an enemy to all those who are part of the Blood Sultanates, which ends up making things complicated for her and her friends. But going any farther than that is spoilers, okay, guys? You gotta be a little bit calm with that. And the reason she puts it on is just because it's purple of all things. Well, they're saying, purple is my favorite color. You know how many purple ribbons I've won? As if that immediately justifies it. Where they leave and Princess Donut creates their party, the Royal Court of Princess Donut, and changes Carl's title to bodyguard. But even to Carl's chagrin, is at least only a title. And as they leave Mordecai, he gives them a warning that makes an impression to the series, saying that it is never worth it to take a deal before the 12th floor, even though he took a deal on the 11th floor, showing that even escape may not be the reward we think it is, with things being explained later on. But that's where the dungeon really starts, them having to fight lava-spitting llamas, who are meth addicts, and alcohol-addicted goblins that also love that sweet meth, and monster energy-addicted cockroaches. But that's just the start. Was before long, he meets friends and enemies like Katya and Frankie and Helka and Proponte. I think I'm saying that right. Lucy Amar or Odette, who I honestly wonder how they will show up as well. I won't say, but she's kind of a bit nude. And she's definitely unique. Definitely unique character design. But along the way, they see many NPCs that have pasts and lives, enemies that are just as human as you and I in some cases, and dungeon crawlers of the past who took jobs they hate or are forced to do. When the story goes on, many different adventures get deep into dungeon politics. Through one rather special item, the Crawler Anarchist Cookbook, a book made for one purpose, to burn everything down, as the system says itself. Eventually learning how the show around the game makes Earth seem bad and the corporation good when they and a lot of other space governments are even more corrupt and evil than Earth could ever be, being the most corporate assholes you ever met. Which eventually leads him to fighting the system throughout, taking that wand to punch everything that goes against them right to their face, taking on the system in the most fun ways possible. So I honestly can't recommend the series enough. So please check out the Dungeon Crawler Carl Manhwa. And while it's only got 10 chapters out right now, the book is amazing. And I'm already on the 7th one. So we love the AI. So listen, in this house, we love the AI's love for Carl's feet. Okay? And we ship Carl with Best Girl. And if you've heard of the series before, you know who I mean. Because, she has a mohawk. And, that's all I'm going to say. So pick it up and stay with it. Even if it takes a while for the plot and some of the best parts to happen. And if you can't, there's always the book. But thanks for watching. And subscribe. Because I'll see you when I see you. Anyway, bye guys. Bye. And also, let me just say that there's some really fun stuff happening later on. Because, listen, racing, freaking mazes, whole fantasy towns, and whole fun NPC plot quests, and even the NPCs rebelling. The story does get rather wild, but it's written perfectly, so you gotta check it out. And if you don't, all you're doing is missing out. Because it is peak.